Shri Jnaneshwari. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Gopal Krishnaya Namaha. Chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga continued. Shloka number 27. Supreme bliss comes to the yogi whose mind is at peace, whose passion has subdued, and who is stainless and has become one with Brahman. When the mind remains steady for a long time, it gets near the self, and when it perceives the true self, it becomes one with it. Then the duality merges into unity, and all the three worlds become radiant in the light of this unity. As when the clouds scatter, there remains the all-pervading sky. So when the mind becomes merged in the self, the whole world becomes permeated by the radiant light of the self. By this way, it is possible to achieve self-realization without much effort. 28. Constantly applying his mind thus, the yogi, who is free from stain, enjoys with ease the infinite bliss of contact with Brahman. In this way, several persons have, by adopting this method of yoga and renouncing desire, attained self-realization and oneness with Brahman. Just as salt, having come into contact with water, cannot be separated from it, such is the state achieved by the embodied self when he becomes one with Brahman. Then he feels as if the world is the temple of unity and the people are celebrating the festival of lights. In this manner, one should turn one's face in the reverse direction towards one's original state. But if you find this also difficult, then please listen. I shall tell you another way. 29. Absorbed in meditation, he sees the self in all beings and all beings in the self, and sees the same everywhere. 30. He who sees me everywhere and sees all beings in me, I am not lost to him, nor is he lost to me. Entertain no doubt about the fact that I dwell in all bodies, and that all beings also live in me. You must grasp the notion that this world and all the beings therein are mutually connected. So my devotees, O Arjun, see me in all creatures with the feeling of unity and worships me with equanimity. He sees me alike in all beings without distinction, although these seem many and different. Then it becomes needless to say that he and myself are one. Just as the lamp and its light are one, so he exists in me and I exist in him. 31. He who worships me in all beings established in unity, in whatever condition he lives, that yogi dwells in me. He sees me everywhere with the feeling of unity like yarn and cloth. Just as the ornaments of different forms are made of gold only, he has a steady conviction that all beings in this world are one. Or just as, although the leaves are different, they belong to a single tree. In the same way, when the sun of non-dualism dawns, the night of ignorance vanishes. How then can the yogi, dwelling in the body made up of the 5 elements, remain confined in it? When he has realized my all-pervasive nature through his experience of the self, he naturally becomes all-pervading without my saying so. Even though he dwells in the body, he does not feel any attachment towards it. 32. He who in comparison with himself sees alike the happiness or sorrow of every being is deemed as the best yogi. This much would suffice in the matter. He ever views the universe both movable as well as immovable as himself, and does not make any distinction between emotions such as pleasure and pain, or between actions as good and bad. He regards all odd and even feelings and multiform things as his limbs form one body. In short, he experiences that he is all the three worlds, and although he is regarded by the people according to their popular usage as possessing a body, he is still the very form of Brahman because of his experience. 33. Arjun said, "This yoga, which you have declared as equanimity, I do not see how it can remain stable owing to our fitfulness." 34. For the mind is fickle, impetuous, strong and stubborn. I think its control to be as difficult as that of the wind. O Lord, you have disclosed to me the path of yoga out of affection. But owing to the fickle nature of the mind, it will not endure. If we ponder over this mind, how it is and of what kind, we are unable to fathom its nature. Even the three worlds are not sufficient for it to wander in. Could a monkey go into samadhi, or the tornado ever become tranquil? This mind torments the intellect, makes determination unsteady, and gives the slip to courage. If it is curbed, it runs riot, but if it is restrained, it comes to our aid. How can such a mind give up its fickle nature? Therefore, it is not possible to make the mind steady and acquire equanimity. 35. The Blessed Lord said, "Without doubt, O Arjun, the mind is fickle and hard to curb. Yet, by constant practice, it is held in check." O Arjun, what you say is indeed true. The mind is by nature fickle, but it is possible to make it steady after some time if one takes recourse to dispassion and directs the mind to the path of yoga. It is the quality of the mind that, if it takes a liking for a thing, it forms an attachment of it. You should therefore create a liking in it for the experience of the self. 36. I agree that yoga is hard to achieve by a person who has not subdued his mind. But this can be achieved by the right means by a self-controlled person who makes the effort. I concede that those who are not indifferent to the world and do not practice yoga cannot possibly control the mind. But if we do not proceed along the path of self-control, never even remember what dispassion is, but keep on plunging in the waters of sense objects and do not apply the cane of self-restraint, how can you make the mind still? Therefore, adopt the means by which you can restrain the mind, and then let us see how the mind does not become steady. If you acquire the strength of yogic discipline, how can the mind remain fickle? Will you not be able to bring, with the aid of yoga, the great principle and others under your thumb? Then Arjun said, "O God, what you say is true. The strength of the mind is feeble before the power of yoga. So far, I had not known what this yoga is and how one can practice it. I therefore thought that it is difficult to control the mind. It is only now, for the first time in my life, that I have come to know through your grace what yoga means." Arjun said, 37. If he who is unrestrained but has faith, with his mind wandering from yoga, fails to achieve perfection in yoga, what state does he reach? 38. Fallen from both, does he not perish like a rent cloud, lacking firm support, bewildered in the path of Brahman? With this we complete part 6 of chapter 6. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om.